Do you believe?
This isn't the Believe in Kansas show. I don't know if there is a Believe in Kansas show, but if you're out there and want to host one, if you're a Kansas person and you happen to stumble across this one, you should check us out. You should join in and join the family. So we're going to talk a little Georgia football after a head scratcher against Kent State, where it just didn't seem like we were clicking on all cylinders. We come in, have some guys out. We roll into Columbia, immediately lose momentum, and have to fight and claw our way back into the game all game long after trading field goal. We get down 16-3 at one point, claw all the way back, and win by a final score of 26-22, capped off by Dejon Edwards' touchdown. But it was a rough game for Georgia. Couldn't seem to get much going offensively, especially down in the red area. Defensively, didn't have a whole lot of answers for RPOs. Lost some 50-50 balls when Missouri decided to take some deep shots, and couldn't find any answers blocking Missouri's defensive line. So, Israel, where do you want to start with this game? Where do we start unpacking with this? Is it? I mean, I don't want to hit the panic button yet, but I mean, there is some concern, right?
There's obviously some concern. Let's start off by saying, "Go Dogs!" We're undefeated, number 2 team in the nation.
Hey, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it, man.
So, anytime you score more points than the other team, figuratively and realistic. But there's a little bit of concern, more so from the fact that up front, we aren't quite, and that comes with it. New guys up front. I saw some fire Searles posting that's his fault. I honestly, going back on last night, more or less, I think Missouri came out and did some things that we weren't expecting. And we didn't quite adjust every time we come out, make adjustments, come out something different. They had guys standing up, did some twists. They went 3 down, played some man. Really didn't play much zone last night from looking at it. So I think that they just had a game plan for us, and they executed up until the last 2 drives where we scored touchdowns.
Right. Yeah, I think so too. And they got us, man. And they took advantage of some new guys starting in some new spots, and they did a really good job up front of playing games. And like you said, they gave us different looks, and they did what well-coached teams do. They gave some wrinkles on some stuff that they put on film and made sure that we were, they were making sure we were on our toes. A couple fumbles here, a couple missed opportunities, a couple dumb penalties, and a couple breakdowns in protection. And Georgia's in a slugfest trying to claw their way back. Well, they moved to more power counter schemes in the second half. They start to get a little movement on the ball. When they started running off tackle, they were starting to hit some things down the field to the tight ends, especially big Agent Zero, who is a creative player, I think. I'm pretty sure. And then they were finally able to just relax and get in a rhythm and play like they're capable of playing. And that was the most important thing, was that nobody panicked. They just kept grinding, kept holding. Like Missouri could have blown that game wide open at any point. And Georgia's defense held when it needed to hold. They held Missouri to 3 points, which stymied some of the momentum that they were generating with their big plays. And Georgia's defense did everything they could to keep us in the game and hold Missouri up so that our offense could finally find its footing and get on the right side of this game and not the wrong side.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What's one play we like to run? We like to run stretch on whether it's inside or outside zone, and Missouri did a great job of having every time we pushed it, they had somebody coming in the gap. Essentially why we went to gap scheme, because gap scheme does essentially take care of that. They did a great job of having 6-7 people in the box behind it. And right now we're a couple guys down at the so took advantage of that. Missouri had a great game plan. The defensive staff, those guys, because they had a plan and they stuck with that plan. You know, a couple of abilities, you know, and that game's different. You know, we had a lot of missed opportunities. I think if McIntosh doesn't fumble, that's a big play. We get the momentum swing there. I think we go down and score where this set. Stetson fumbles. I think we're sure we're about to go down and score on that drive too.
Yeah.
Late pull by him at it, which Stetson put in his belly. I mean, once you put that ball in the belly and you apply pressure, running back's going to take it. You try to pull it late, and you get a fumble. So I don't think it was a lack of it, more so than, you know, missed opportunities. You know, Missouri did some great things. You know, watching the replay right now, they did some really good things defensively. They set some looks for Stetson, set him a couple of throws, especially into the flats. But that's because, you know, Stetson's only 5'10", and they got
a good day.
People don't give credit to Missouri's defensive line. Those guys in that front seven's playing well. And last night, I mean, they showed out, and it all started during pregame when Jalen Carter walks through the drills. That's where the intensity started. For me as a coach, I don't let my kids do that, and I feel it lasts a little bit longer than it should have. For whatever reason, it is what it that added to the fire, you know, for those guys defensively.
Absolutely, man. And it showed down in the red area too. Anytime, you know, throughout the first 3 quarters that Georgia got the ball down in the red area, they were bringing heat. And they did a good job with their blitz packages. They did a good job covering behind it. Those corners were locked tight on our receivers. You know, I think if A.D. Mitchell's in the game, maybe it's a little different. But then again, they were in Stetson's face all night long until we were able to run the ball. And once we started to be able to run the ball, they, you know, the pressures stopped. They got a little gassed, and we were finally able to break through. But up until that point, it was like, okay, we're not going to be able to win this game with field goals. You know, we got to get this ball inside the 10 and stop kicking field goals, because I think it was like 4 times we got the ball down inside the 10 and had to settle for field goals. And normally this team would at least convert half of those to points, to touchdowns. Maybe even 3 out of the 4 touchdowns, and the last one is a field goal. So, I mean, thankfully we got points, but, you know, for us to beat a team like Tennessee, for us to beat teams like Kentucky and then Alabama, when it gets to that point, you know, you get down in the red area, you got to cash in with touchdowns, because field goals aren't going to beat Tennessee. Field goals aren't going to beat Kentucky. You know, it's going to be those touchdowns.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I said, Missouri's game absolutely flawless. I just didn't hit the panic button, you know, and I try not to get into it from the former player, being a coach right now, you know, but I would not put my career on any of the people, you know, on Facebook or Twitter, because they hit the panic button too early. You know, you see,
I know.
I tweeted last night. You
first
see
quarter, they're firing everybody.
Yeah, you know, the first thing to say is, "Y'all take him out." You know, go through your lumps. He just won his national championship, so why would I see him? That's first off. If Beck's in there,
you can't take Stetson out.
If Beck, I mean, it can get worse in my opinion, simply because the running ball with him is null and void. So you just adjust. You know, they didn't panic. You know, they kind of stay. I do think if we tempo them a little bit more, we could have got them out of their game plan a little bit earlier. At the same time, you're trying to see what they're doing. You know, I'm pretty low on the sidelines. You know, but, you know, the guys up top, I mean, they're all working, you know, but every time you have an front thing, Missouri's doing something different, you know, so it's one of those things where you can't, you know, calm everybody down. You know, environment, I think that's the most people in Missouri's game since, like, the Gary, coach name.
Gary Pinkel?
That's it. So Gary Pinkel was there, so playing that song on third downs that I still can't. It's just one of those games where
if you just start singing it, you will.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're on the road, see your number 1 team in the nation, You got a target on your
Uh-huh.
back already, so you're going to get everybody's
Mhm.
best shot. That team that played Auburn last week is not the same team that played Georgia yesterday.
No, that was a juiced up team. They, the atmosphere was that's probably the best atmosphere I've ever seen it at Faurot Field, honestly.
Mhm.
And going back to the point of like not hitting the panic button, did you notice something different about Kirby's sideline demeanor? Because usually
Absolutely.
he's ranting, raving, jumping, yelling, ripping his headset off 150 times a minute. Um, but he looked calm the whole time. He looked calm, but he was decisive. He was
Hmm.
coming up, he was coaching, he was getting I mean, I don't know what was being said, but it looked like he was coaching and not yelling and not it just seems like either A, he's calmed down a bit and he's got a little bit more self-control, or it is uh, you know, there's times where you need a foot in the ass, and there's other times where you
Hmm.
need just somebody to be, okay, calm down. Here's what you need to do. You're fine. Let's do it. Right. And I think that was a situation where that was needed. Like he just needed to calm down Stetson because you and I were trading text. I said, hey, we are way too hyped up right now. We need to
No,
calm
absolutely.
down.
And it's
And
one of those
so,
situations where, as a head coach, it's different when we play Kansas. We were just making just foolish mistakes um,
yeah.
against an inferior team. Missouri, I mean, they're a really good football team.
Mhm.
So after that, I think after the second drive, I think Kirby realized, like, oh snap, wait a minute, got to calm everybody down. To me, the crowd's into it. He's doing a
Mhm.
good job defensively. They're moving the ball offensively. So I mean, as a coach, you start to see that your players start to feed off you too. If you're MF and especially during a time like that, they're going to go in the tank. But I think he did a good job in the game yesterday,
Yeah.
managing the emotions, himself not the situation of being like what the hell is going on, and more so being like, all right, guys, they're doing some stuff we haven't seen. We're a little bit out of off. Let's just calm down and get the halftime some adjustments. Let's go back out. And that's what he did. The first telltale of that was the before halftime. He walks up in the halftime interview, which we hadn't seen that
Yeah.
all year.
Mm-mm.
And he's calm. Hey, we're gonna, we got to calm down. They're whipping us up front, which they were on both sides of the ball. And he's like, we got to go in and make some adjustments. And that's when I realized, all right, Kirby's figured it out. He can't be too hyped. Can't go in at halftime throwing water bottles. He's got to be like, all right, guys, we're in a dogfight. And when you're in a dog, the great teams, and that's what we did last night.
Absolutely. And we absolutely figured out. So putting a bow on this game, Georgia wins 26-22. Lots of concerns, yes, but it seems like we're trending in the right direction. The offensive line is figuring some things out. They're figuring out how to adjust when they see things that I think this is the first time this offensive line has really been put to the test against, a defensive line that you could say, hey, they're really athletic, they're really tough, and juiced up true road environment, which South Carolina usually is, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And Missouri was what we thought South Carolina was going to be,
Yes.
a couple weeks ago, and it was nothing like that. And Missouri, this was their first true road test, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
they passed.
Yeah.
Every win's not created equal. We're 5-0, not 4-1. I'll take it. I will take it.
People have to
I'll
understand. I mean, the road to national championship is not an easy road, especially in the SEC. No
yeah,
matter who you play,
and
no
on the road.
matter what you call. I know the 30 kind of went down to 29 right before the game started. I mean, this Missouri team. I
Yeah,
think Eli Drinkowitz, as much as we talk about him, I think he had in for this game,
yeah, he did. He did. I'll
offensively
give
and
him credit.
defensively.
I got to give
This
him credit.
cigarette yesterday for as much as he chewing on that gum yesterday.
Yeah.
Anxiety was kind of getting him a little bit. He was chomping away
Yeah.
that thing.
Oh
But
yeah,
our defense,
he was.
they were bend but don't break.
Yep.
They held Missouri to, and shout out to the kicker, man. After just killing the
Both
game,
kickers, man.
bang
Yeah.
some right down. And our kicker did a job of keeping us in the
Clutch, man.
game.
Yeah.
Stetson did a great job. I love the fake that they had. Stetson did a
Yeah,
good
that
job.
was beautiful.
Longstaff did a great job. I mean, he's played a big role last night. So
They did.
shout out those guys, and major shout out tries. Without them, keeping their composure, even with a couple of penalties. I think
And
last
Jalen
night,
Carter goes out.
yeah, Jalen Carter goes out, and I think a couple of penalties we got late were from the fact that our defense trying, not looking back at the football, trying not to. They were, but they held it down for us, and we got the W at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in the Keely Ringo PI because I didn't think he needed to. I didn't think that ball was catchable, and I didn't think he needed to grab him. But he earned it. He earned the PI.
And if he turns
I just
around,
don't think he needed to.
they throw it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But they took a shot. They were going to either. They said, "Hey, this guy's running with them, and he's either going to get this or he's going to get a PI," and he did. And so Luther Burden is going to be he's going to be a problem. He's going to be a big problem when they Brady Cook
too.
Yeah,
I mean, Stack does a great job, filling in for Jalen Carter. Their running back Pete, who fumbled the ball last week, comes in. They did a phenomenal job running, bouncing that thing back. I mean, they had our number last night, but tested with true championship team situations. Alabama did it. Texas, they found a way to win, and we found out a way to win yesterday.
Yeah, and as we move through, we'll talk a little bit about some of the other week 5 matchups that we didn't get to, or that you may have seen throughout the day. A change that just came through with our Bet Online ad, actually. The promo code BELIEVE50 will not work. They got a new promo code. All right, so jumping into Bet Online, they will give you 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit. You just use that promo code BELIEVE. There's no other thing. It's just BLEAV, and you'll receive those rewards. So a slight change that came through right just 2.5 minutes ago, as we were talking about, fresh off the press. Alex from Believe has sent us that. So that's always good. And BetOnline's taking care of us, and they're taking care of you too. So 100% welcome bonus on your first deposit, not 50, 100%. So you better take advantage of that.